Hi everyone, my name is Casey Keel, and today I'm going to share with you a little bit about my middle school writing unit on Memoir Vignettes. This is a 13-day writing unit that is geared towards students in 6th through 8th grade. I'm going to be starting by just sharing with you what are Memoir Vignettes, and then I will actually read to you the mentor text that I've written that goes along with this writing unit and is used as a model to students across the writing unit. Last, I'll share and explain the unit plan of the 13 class days to you. So I'm going to start by explaining what exactly are memoir vignettes. So they are a collection of memories that share a common thread with one another. They're short, sharp images represented in words. It does not have to tell a whole story. It actually shouldn't. It should just be describing one brief moment in time. The collection of memoir vignettes, for the purpose of this writing unit, students write 3. They should all share a common thread. So, for instance, all 3 of the vignettes could be about the same person. They could be about the same location or object or activity or emotion or attribute. They should come together and tell a story. And there's also a foreword included so that the writer is able to explain to the reader what is that common thread and why is that common thread important to the author of the memoir vignettes. They're heavy with figurative language so that the reader can really feel those 5 senses. And they also are written in first person about the author's life, so they are real stories. And unlike memoirs and personal narratives, which are very common as a writing assignment, memoir vignettes do not have to tell a whole memory, but they should have that rich description of just like little brief clips of time. So I'm going to next share the memoir vignette mentor text that I wrote for this unit. So I will bring that up. So here is the foreword, and this is where I explain just kind of what my memoir vignettes are about and why they're important to me. I know I'm one of the lucky ones, 2 parents who love me deeply and 2 sets of grandparents who do too. I am the oldest in my family and was also the first grandchild on my mom's side. Anyone who knows what it's like to be the oldest child and grandchild knows you hold a special place in the hearts of the adults in your life because you were the first. You are the person who made them parents and grandparents. As a young child, I had endless adult playmates loving me beyond measure. At my high school basketball games, I would look up into the stands and see several adults there specifically to watch me and cheer me on. My grandma Marion and I shared a special bond from when I was little through my adulthood. She was like a second mother to me, along with being a companion, a counselor, and a friend. She supported me through the little things and the big things. A woman with so much drive and determination, there was nothing she couldn't do in my eyes. She was an energetic, active, vivacious 76-year-old woman when she suffered an unexpected stroke that would take her life shortly after. There isn't a day that goes by since that I don't miss her. These vignettes are a dedication to her and the lasting love that lives on through the memories of her. So my first memoir vignette is titled Lake Day. My dad's trusty blue blazer makes the easy right-hand turn into the familiar driveway. I sit in the back seat filled with excitement. My wispy blonde hair is swept into a perfect little ponytail, and my pink polka-dotted swimsuit is already on. Despite my parents' objections, I insisted on wearing it before we left our house so that I'd be all set when we arrived. As I step out of the vehicle, I am mesmerized by the impossibly perfect summer day. Clear skies, light breeze, and warm air. I glance over my shoulder and catch a glimpse of the glistening lake, begging me to jump in. I half run, half skip to the front door and whip it open without warning. Grandma, I begin to scream, but before I have to say anything more, she appears almost magically at the top of the steps. Hi, sweetheart, what a beautiful day, she warmly greets. I mentally take her in and smile on the outside and the inside. She is wearing her favorite blue one-piece swimming suit. A visor slices its way through her pure white hair. Her face is beautiful as always. Even though we are headed out to the lake, her lips are filled with her signature pink lipstick. She is holding a cooler in her hand and, as if reading my mind, says, "The drinks and snacks are already packed. Let's head down to the pontoon." Yes, 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 let's go, I squeal excitedly. But before I tear my way back out the door and down to the lake, I meet her halfway up the steps and throw my arms around her waist as we stop to wrap each other up in a big hug. This right here in my grandma's embrace is one of my favorite places to be. So, this first memoir vignette comes from when I was a child. This next one is coming from when I was a college student. So, this one is titled Christmas. My silver Chevy Cavalier coasts into my grandparents' driveway, momentarily skidding across a patch of frozen ice. As I slide my way out, the frosty Wisconsin air greets my lungs, taking my breath away. I pop my trunk and grab the plastic bag filled with hastily wrapped presents for my family. Not a bad attempt for a college kid, I think in my head. The familiar wooden door stands before me, and I eagerly open it. I am instantly overwhelmed with the feeling of warmth. I can tell my grandpa must have both fireplaces cranked up, a testament to his commitment to chopping wood all year long. Smells from all my favorite foods simultaneously fill my lungs. Meatballs, mashed potatoes and gravy, green bean casserole, homemade buns, cut-out cookies. I have no doubt she made it all. As I make my way up the staircase, stockings are meticulously hung along the railing. When I reach the top of the stairs, my heart feels so full. Presents float from one end of the living room to the other, wrapped in all types of paper, surrounding the perfectly decorated tree, framing the fireplace. It's exactly how I remember it looking every year at Christmas time, for as far back as my memories can reach. I make my way into the kitchen. I know that's where I'll find her. She is scurrying between the stove and sink. I can see the stress in her body even before she turns around by the way she is holding her shoulders pinched tightly together. "Merry Christmas, Grandma," I greet warmly. "Sweetheart," she gasps as her body startles. "I didn't even hear you come in. Merry Christmas, I've missed you." I find myself running to her as my arms curl around her shoulders, wrapping her in a tight hug. Even though I now stand a head taller than her, her embrace makes me feel safe, loved, and full of joy. This right here in this moment is everything Christmas should be. And then my last memoir is about after my grandma has passed away, and it is titled The Spring After. Our Chevy truck tumbles into the driveway. My husband sits beside me in the driver's seat, and my son is cooing quietly in the back, only a few months old. Without speaking, I slip out of the passenger side door. A light rain is misting. It is eerily dark out for mid-morning, and a chill fills the air that causes goosebumps to peel down my exposed arms. I realize that I have stood frozen in time while my husband retrieved our son from the back seat. They both stare at me now, anticipating my next move. I turn and start to trudge toward the same familiar wooden door. As I open it, I turn to my husband and mumble, "Go ahead and take Luke downstairs by my grandpa. I'm going to go upstairs and we'll be down in a bit." He gives an understanding nod. My body carries me up the familiar staircase. I notice the tiny piles of dirt that have collected sneakily in the corners. As I reach the top, my eyes scan the room to see everything the same. The same fireplace, the same couches, the same hutch lined with my grandma's fine china. I walk through the kitchen and it feels eerily empty. A half-filled coffee pot sits on the counter and the leaf from the table has been removed. The table looks shrunken and wrong. There are no smells wafting from the oven, no crock pot plugged in, bubbling with goodness, no brownies resting on the counter to steal a square from. I feel like a stranger in a house that once felt like home as I make my way down the hallway and into her bedroom. Her books are stacked beside her side of the bed, bookmarks indicating a half-read stopping point that she would never finish. I make my way over to her dresser and open the drawer, 3 from the top, to run my hands over the familiar silk scarves I used to wear for dress up as a child. I crumble to the floor and wrap my arms around myself in a tight hug, desperate to feel any part of her that is still here. Everything looks the same, but nothing really is. She's everywhere, but yet she's gone. I think I can literally feel my heart shattering into pieces when I let myself feel how much I miss her. So that is my mentor text that I wrote for the Memoir Vignettes writing unit. I know it's kind of sad, but it's really important to me, and it was really beautiful experience to write it. Students' memoir vignettes don't have to be sad. They can be really happy. They can be really any emotion that they want to capture, depending on the common thread that they decide to write them with. I want to just quickly share the unit plan with you so you can understand how we get students from the start of this to the end finished product of them having their own memoir vignettes. So we start with genre immersion, sharing the mentor text that I just shared with you, and so they can familiarize themselves with the genre. Then students begin to make lists, beginning to consider moments from their lives that stick out to them. And the lists are made through those common threads that I mentioned, so common places, common people, common activities, and they make lists to see what they might be interested in writing their memoir vignettes about. They then select a few topics and explore their connection with those topics. And they ultimately pick one and start to consider starting and stopping points for the moments they want to use in their memoir vignettes. Next, they brainstorm sensory language that they would incorporate into those vignettes. And they draft the foreword of their memoir vignettes to explain the common thread that exists. And then they start to actually draft all of their memoir vignettes into a single draft. They revise to examine how they use dialogue and narrative techniques throughout their memoir vignettes. They also revise for how they showed the passage of time, and they revise for descriptive details and sensory language. Next, they use their peers as a sounding board to get feedback on their finished product. Finally, they edit for conventions and they publish and share. I have a couple of different ideas in that lesson of how they would publish and share. So each of these lessons is intended to be one class period of time, and it includes a teacher lesson plan fully scripted out with the gradual release of responsibility. It also includes a Google Slides or a PowerPoint presentation so you can display these different pieces to students and walk you through the lesson as well. It includes any handouts, and sometimes some modeling of the process that I went through to make my mentor text to show to students as a model as well. There is also the option of, if you are interested, writing your own mentor text to go along with the unit to share with students. So that's just a little bit more about my Memoir Vignettes unit. If you have any questions at all, make sure you leave them below. Thank you so much.